All right, thanks, guys. Akron takes on Tulane, 2:30 Eastern tip-off in that game. The Zips of Akron are -5.5, total at 142 and a hook. We saw a 1.5-point fade of Akron and movement upward on the total. The Zips open as the 7-point favorite, down to -5.5. Total open 142, up to 142 and a hook. 60% of the consensus are leaning toward Akron, 83% shaded toward the under. Now, the Zips have failed to win in 2 out of their last 3 away from home. Akron also ranks 255th in defensive rebounding. Tulane, on the other side, they are 8-2 straight up overall for the year, 4-2 against the spread in their last 6. They're allowing just 66 points per contest. Tashawn Hightower is averaging 16 points a game, 5 rebounds. KJ Lawson, 15 points a game, 5 rebounds, 2 steals for him. And Chris Thompson, 12 points a game, 6 rebounds, and 2 steals on average per game as well. Tulane, 3-2 to the under in their last 6. Akron, 2-1 to the under in their last 3 themselves. I'm going to purchase the 0.5 point, buy it up, and lean Tulane +6 and the under 142.5 in that game. And before we go ahead and move on, just want to take a quick timeout and welcome you to the show. Got some lines and personal leans out for Friday's college football action. Happy Friday to you. The weekend is finally here. Now, before we go ahead and get into some more free lines and personal leans right here on YouTube, I just want to quickly remind you to check me out on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage, where we do daily premium picks on that website, beginning at just $1.99 per month. We also have a bunch of different memberships, tiers, and packages that you can subscribe to on that website. And if you want to check out my current Patreon record for free, you can do that right now. Link for that site is in the description section below. My record's right on the homepage. That is patreon.com/BrockPage. All right, let's go ahead and dive into some more free lines and personal leans right here on YouTube. All starts Eastern Standard Time. None of our games are currently on the big screen in the back, so just grab a pen and paper and bear with me. Next matchup, Drexel taking on Quinnipiac, 4:30 Eastern tip-off in that game. The Bobcats of Quinnipiac. I have 2 cousins that go to Quinnipiac right now, by the way. I know that's a random fact. Doesn't even seem believable, but totally true. Anyway, Quinnipiac, they are the 1.5-point favorite, total at 148 and a hook. We saw a 0.5 point move toward Quinnipiac and movement downward on the total. The Bobcats opened as the 1-point favorite, up to -1.5. Total open 149, down to 148.5. 70% are leaning Quinnipiac, 56% shaded toward the under. Now, the Bobcats of Quinnipiac, they've successfully covered the point spread in their last 3 straight. They also went 6-2 against the spread in their last 8. They're winning 75% of their games at home, and they're averaging 74 points per contest. Rich Kelly's averaging 18 points a game, 5 assists. He's shooting 46% from downtown. Tyrese Williams, 11 points a game, 3 assists on average for him. And big Kevin Marfo, he's averaging 10 points a game, but more importantly, he's bringing down 13 rebounds a game on average, and the big guy's shooting 77% from the stripe. Now, Drexel on the other side, they've dropped 3 out of their last 4 games. They're also just 1-3 against the spread in those 4. They're allowing 75 points per contest on average. Drexel's 5-1 to the over in their last 6. Quinnipiac 5-1 to the over in their last 6 themselves. 3-1 to the over at home. I'm going to lean toward Quinnipiac -1.5 and the over 148.5 in that game. Next matchup, Binghamton taking on Pitt, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off in that game. The Pitt Panthers are the 20-point favorite, total at 132.5. Pitt's 3-1 straight up in their last 4. 4-3 ATS when laying the points. Xavier Johnson's averaging 12 points a game, 5 assists. He's also shooting 39% from downtown. Trey McGowan's 12 points a game, 4 rebounds, and 2 steals. And Ryan Murphy's averaging 11 points a game and shooting 81% from the stripe. Now, Binghamton on the other side, they failed to cover in 4 out of their last 6 on the road. They're also just 1-3 straight up in their last 4 games. Pitt's 2-0 to the under in their last couple of games, 5-2 to the under at home. I'm going to lean Pitt Panthers -20 and the under 132.5 in that game. Next matchup, SMU taking on Georgia, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off in that game. The Bulldogs of Georgia, they are the 4-point favorite, total at 147. We saw a 0.5 point fade of Georgia and movement downward on the total. The Bulldogs open 4.5 down to -4. Total open 148 down to 147. 55% are leaning Georgia, 56% shaded toward the under. The Bulldogs are just 2 and 3 straight up in their last 5. They've also failed to cover in 5 out of their last 8. They're shooting just 29% from downtown, and they're allowing 77 points per contest. SMU on the other side, 8-1 straight up on the year, 2-0 straight up on the road. They have marquee wins over the likes of UNLV and Evansville. They're averaging 75 points per game. They're also ranking in the top 40 in defensive rebounding. Kendrick Davis is averaging 16 points a game, 4 rebounds, 7 assists for SMU. Isaiah Mike, 15 points a game, 7 rebounds. Mike is shooting 90% from the stripe. And Tyson Jolly, 15 points a game, 7 rebounds. He's shooting 54% from the field. This SMU defense, they're holding their opponents to just 38% from the field as well. Now, total-wise, SMU is 3-2 to the over in their last 5. Georgia, 7-2 to the over on the year, 5-0 to the over at home. I'm going to lean toward the road dog in this one. Give me SMU +4 in the over 147 in that game. All right, next matchup, it is going to be Furman taking on Mercer, 7:30 Eastern tip-off in that matchup. Furman, they are the 8.5-point favorite, total at 147. We saw a 1-point fade of the Paladins and movement upward on the total. Furman open 9.5, down to -8.5. Total open 145, up to 147. 67% are leaning Furman, 71% shaded toward the under. Mercer has dropped 4 out of their last 5 games. They're allowing 75.5 points per contest as well. Meanwhile, Furman on the other side, 3-0 straight up in their last 3, 10-3 straight up overall for the year. They're scoring 80 points per contest on average and shooting 48% from the field. They're also allowing just 64 points per contest as well. Jordan Lyons is averaging 15 points a game. He's also shooting 89% from the stripe. Noah Gurley, 15 points a game, 5 rebounds. And Clay Mounsey, 14 points a game, 7 boards for him. Furman's 3-0 to the over in their last 3. They're also 7-4 to the over on the year. I'm going to go ahead and lean Furman -8.5 and the over 147 in that game. All right, next matchup, Jacksonville taking on Clemson, 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off in that game. The Tigers are the 12-point favorite, total at 127.5. We saw a half-a-point move toward Clemson and movement upward on the total. Tigers open 11.5 up to -12. Total open 127 up to 127 and a hook. I like the Tigers in this spot here. Give me Clemson -12 and the over 127.5 in that game. Next matchup, North Dakota State taking on Marquette. 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off in that game. Marquette's -14, total at 142. We saw a 1-point fade of Marquette and movement upward on the total. They open as the 15-point favorite, down to -14. Total open 141.5 up to 142. I think Marquette is too strong in this spot here. Give me Marquette -14 and the under 142 in that game. And I'm going to slide my next and final matchup for the show. It is going to be IUPUI taking on Fresno State. 10 o'clock Eastern tip-off in that game. Fresno State's -13.5, total 134 and a hook. So a half-a-point move toward Fresno and movement upward on the total. Fresno open 13 up to -13.5. Total open 134 up to 134 and a hook. I like the upset in this one. Give me IUPUI +14 after buying the half a point and the over 134.5 in that game.